never-ending endeavor? And if so, is there a way to remedy that in a second edition? To clarify, to reemphasize, and where relevant, to share how my thinking has evolved since the book came out. In discussing this with my editor, we hit on an idea. Why not be transparent about where and how my current thoughts expand upon or deviate from those in the original book? Could that be a way of walking my talk about the inevitability of change? We devised a system. Other than correcting a few errors of fact that I got wrong in 2014, I would leave the original text alone. When the book said Toy Story hit theaters 19 years ago, for example, I wouldn't edit that, even though it has now been nearly 28 years. We would trust readers to understand that the book tried to capture a moment in time. But in a few spots, I would also identify with an asterisk those ideas I felt deserved more explication. At the end of any chapter, I'd mark it up this way. I would add a postscript offering new or expanded thoughts on the matter. The revised book you are listening to is the result of that approach. It has 4 new postscripts and 2 new chapters. Chapter 14, The Lasting Impact of Notes Day, picks up where I left off at the end of Chapter 13, which described Notes Day, our attempt in 2013 to re-energize Pixar by candidly identifying its shortcomings and flaws. The initial goal of Notes Day was to identify ways we could reduce by 10% the number of person weeks required to make a single film. We shut down the studio for a whole day to discuss solutions, and the ideas that emerged ultimately succeeded in lowering our budgets and making us more efficient. But Notes Day also revealed deeper problems that had to do with how our culture had strayed from the studio's core values. It would take us years to incorporate the lessons we learned that day. And in some areas, that work continues. I'm grateful that Pixar fully embraced that very difficult task. I hope others can benefit from hearing more about how that worked. In Chapter 15, Incorporating Creativity, I talk more about several themes I'm still thinking about today. Preventing the abuse of hierarchy, allowing for playfulness, fostering experimentation, and valuing human emotion. Moreover, I reveal something I left out of the first edition of the book. Readers may remember that I described my struggle to find new purpose in my life after Pixar succeeded in making the first feature-length computer-animated film. But there was another concurrent problem that nagged at me in those days right after Toy Story's release. A problem I didn't mention the first go-around, but one that I explore more fully now in the hopes that it will help other managers. Many executives say they strive to make sure bad things don't happen during their tenure. Not on my watch, the saying goes. My goal, especially as my retirement loomed in 2019, was to ensure that the leaders who followed me would be able to address the problems that would inevitably arise after my watch. To me, building a dynamic, creative culture is itself a creative act. I can think of only one thing to compare to this: raising a child. Both are 24/7 jobs that come with joys and challenges, many of them unexpected. To do either job well requires us to dig deeply within ourselves. From the start at Pixar and later at Disney Animation, I wanted to help create a culture so healthy and adaptive that it could survive failure, success, and even the departure of its top leaders and founders. With this second edition, I hope to continue the conversation about how that works and how it doesn't. Ed Catmull, January 2023. Introduction: Lost and Found. Every morning, as I walk into Pixar Animation Studios, past the 20-foot-high sculpture of Luxo Jr., our friendly desk lamp mascot, through the double doors and into a spectacular glass-ceilinged atrium, where a man-sized Buzz Lightyear and Woody, made entirely of Lego bricks, stand at attention, up the stairs, past sketches and paintings of the characters that have populated our 14 films. I'm struck by the unique culture that defines this place. Although I've made this walk thousands of times, it never gets old. Built on the site of a former cannery,
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where